Good evening, everybody. Please, take your seat or silence your cell phones. For those physically present in the council chamber who desire to address the city council during the meetings, please request or complete the request to speak form available at the front entrance of the council chamber and present it to the city clerk. Speakers physically present and participating via Zoom will be called upon in the appropriate time, and each person allows 3 minutes of talking. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. City Council meeting on Tuesday, February 27th, 2024 at 6 p.m. The invocation will be given by Pastor Mark, and I'll be leading the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand.
Let's pray. Father, we have a large crowd this evening, and we are grateful that we live in a country where the citizens of a community can come and work together with those that we've elected into leadership for the betterment of the city. And so tonight, Lord, I pray that you would grant everybody in this room wisdom and discretion and the discussions that will follow. I pray for the mayor and all the council members that you would be with them, protect their families, and then all of those that are working behind the scenes a lot of time in the city here, that without them, it wouldn't run properly. And so I pray for them. Pray for the city manager, city attorney, that you grant them wisdom too, and all of those officers and those men and women that take care of us, both from a police standpoint and the standpoint of emergency services. We are so grateful, Lord, like I said, to live in a country where we have this privilege. And I pray now that you would be blessed, and that you would be honored, and you'd be glorified this evening, because it says here that we trust in you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Mark from Grandview Baptist Church. It's that little church by the dog park, by the cross, overlooking. So if you guys are looking for a church, I'm sure he's opened the doors, but just give him a shout out. Okay, so AB 2449 disclosures, we have none. Madam City Clerk, can we do roll call, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Present.
Councilmember Allen.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
I am here.
Mayor Hussey.
Present.
Councilmember Rodriguez Robles is absent. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Reorder and additionals or removal items on the agenda. Do we have any?
I'd like to remove number 8, please.
Remove it or bring it back?
We'll renotice it and bring it back next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, item B, public comment. This is opportunity for members of the public to comment on any items not appearing on the regular agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, and the City Council may not disclose or act on any item not on agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask questions for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response for staff to requests raised during public comment, or may request the matter be agendized for future meetings. I just want to add one more thing. I know we have a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of public comment on our special presentation, but I'm just asking everybody to act accordingly, be adults. You know, clapping is not called for, just as booing. So if you clap and we get on somebody for booing, it's the same as clapping. So if you could just strain yourself and we get through this, because I know there's some stuff that's passion on everybody's heart, but just please, just be respectful, okay? So, Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Sarah Wilson.
Ms. Wilson?
Good evening, honorable council members. My name is Sarah Wilson, and tonight I bring before you a matter of utmost urgency, a call for action that demands our collective attention. I respectfully request that this issue be promptly added to the agenda for our next session so that it may be thoroughly discussed and acted upon. The issue at hand is the ongoing conflict in Palestine, a matter not only of national security, but also of fundamental human rights that affects us all. Recent events have underscored the pressing need for intervention. As reported by Reuters on February 4th of this year, 70 U.S. cities, including prominent ones like Chicago and Seattle, have already taken decisive action by passing resolutions on the conflict. The majority of these resolutions advocate for a permanent ceasefire, a crucial step towards ending the cycle of violence and restoring hope for peace in the region. War, as history has shown us time and time again, only begets more suffering and division. It is a cycle of violence that serves no purpose but to perpetuate hate and resentment. The tragic case of Aaron Bushnell, a dedicated member of the U.S. Air Force who tragically took his own life in front of the Israeli embassy this past Sunday, February 25th, in Washington, D.C., serves as a stark reminder of the human toll of this conflict. His final words, "Free Palestine," echo the sentiments of countless individuals who yearn for an end to the bloodshed and oppression. My personal connection to this runs deep. As a daughter of a veteran whose name is engraved on the Grand Terrace Veterans Wall of Freedom, I understand the complexities of conflict and the toll that it takes on individuals and families. My own family has suffered a tremendous loss. 3 loved ones, including our 11-year-old cousin and 2 family friends, have been killed in Palestine and in South Lebanon by Israeli rockets. The heartbreaking story of Hin Rijab, a 6-year-old girl whose plea for help went unanswered amidst chaos, serves as a poignant reminder of the innocent lives caught in the crossfire of this conflict. Hin Rijab's tragic fate came in light 2 weeks after her desperate pleas for help. She was discovered decomposing inside the car where her family was killed by Israeli gunfire in Gaza City. She was 6 years old. According to reports, nearly 30,000 people have lost their lives since October 7th. In the face of such overwhelming suffering, we cannot afford to remain passive bystanders. We must take a stand for peace and humanity. Therefore, I implore you to consider adding a permanent ceasefire to the next agenda for our session. I firmly believe that as human beings, it is our sacred duty to leave this world better than we found it. I could delve into the complexities of geopolitics, but that's not what we're going to do here tonight. What I want to talk about is embracing the core of our shared humanity. The boundaries between foreign and domestic become increasingly blurred as we confront the profound impacts of the global conflict. Now more than ever, we must confront the stark reality that the fight for peace is already at our doorsteps. Change often begins at a local level. Thank you for your attention, and may we find the courage to embrace a future defined by harmony and unity. I only need 3 of you to vote yes for this to be added to the next agenda. Just 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. If you want to speak in person, I have office hours from 1 to 3 on Wednesday. All right, just come upstairs and, no, that's it.
okay.
You could come and talk to me then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, do you have anything else?
We have no more under public comment.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Item C, special presentation updated to J.C. Wallace House, A&A Health Services CEO Betty Dominici.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here today and our team. Is the presentation going to be on the screen by any chance? Just so everybody could see it. No? Not a problem. I will read off of it. I just wanted to make sure people could follow and if they have questions at the end. That's fine. J.C. Wallace House. I just, first of all, would like to introduce myself. My name is Betty Dominici. I am the CEO and co-founder of J.C. Wallace House. And I would like to say thank you and how privileged I am here today to speak to you guys about who we are, who I am, and why we are here today. I also would like to disclose that I was the management company owner of the previous community that was the senior living. And I think that clarification needed to be made that we are not new to Grand Terrace. We've been doing business here since we purchased the other community that was senior living. And it always has been a pleasure to do business here. The city has been very welcoming, especially everybody here on the panel sitting in front of us. So thank you for that. We also brought in over 50 jobs and tremendous amount of tax dollars to the city also. So I would just like to clarify that. J.C. Wallace House, we serve men and women from the age of 18 that age in place. We are focused on clients with mental health and housing needs. We are licensed as an adult residential facility. We refer to our facility as a community and clients as residents because this is their home. This is not a facility. This is our client's home. To achieve their best life, we want our residents to feel part of something more than a facility, but a home and a community to learn and relearn new skills by creating some space for individuals and small groups to experience meaning and feel purposeful in their life. The community is not allowed to provide any medical care under this license. We get many questions, are you a hospital? Are you a psychiatric facility? No, we're not. We're a home for clients. We don't provide any medical care. What does it mean to be an adult residential facility? An adult residential facility is the lowest level of acuity that houses those with mental illness. The focus on support for those who have typically graduated from higher acuity settings. Much of the programming done at J.C. Wallace House focuses on life skill development. This includes keeping doctor's appointments, managing hygiene, pursuing higher education or work, medication management, ongoing group or individual therapy, and socialization. Our program
Betty,
is, yes.
Betty, 1 second. We got your presentation.
Oh,
up before we
perfect,
catch up.
thank you. Our program is meant to be a supportive environment that prevents relapses back into higher level of care and promotes the ability to then transition to stable housing and work. So basically what our program does is brings in clients into this home in this environment and helps them find a job, helps them get back into schooling, and really helps them relearn on how to be in a positive environment and how to be productive when they exit our environment into the outer community. And those are the services that we truly provide. What types of programming is provided? Our program encourages independent living and enhancing quality of life, personal self-management, coping with stress, managing time, taking medication, managing living in the community, taking public transportation, obtaining a driver's license or a real ID, improving social and communication skills, financial awareness and money management, personal self-care, washing, bathing, cleaning teeth, shaving, combing hair, getting dressed, domestic tasks, doing laundry, keeping a room tidy, cooking classes, shopping and eating healthy food, forward planning, applying for a job, guidance and permanent housing searches. Our client success at all of our communities. We have served 546 cases so far. 80% of our clients have a very successful outcome. 39% stabilize and successfully into the community, 15% completely independent, 6% home to family, 9% transition to standard 6 beds boarding care, 10% independent living, and 28% transition back to higher level of care if that's needed. Is J.C. Wallace House a locked community? No. This is where the big misperception is about our community. Under California law, an adult residential facility cannot prevent residents from leaving and going to the outer community, going grocery shopping, going to a doctor's office, going to Target, taking a walk down the street, going to a park. They could go and enjoy the community just like anybody else that is here in this room. The program and staff, however, encourages residents to stay within the facility, and the delay egress system notifies staff whenever a resident leaves the facility without a pass. Part of the therapeutic programming includes built-in incentives in the form of points that residents can earn for success within transitional steps of the program and continued good behavior, which allows for greater freedom to leave the facility. Most of the residents' activities are on-site: meals, therapy, group, social activities, etc. Transportation is provided to the outside appointments as needed. We have a big bus and also a minivan that transports our residents. What does it mean to be an adult residential facility? Are you a crisis center? This is the biggest question that we probably get asked. No, we're not a crisis center. We're not a psych hospital. Crisis centers are the initial point of stabilization when someone experiences a mental health crisis. Local crisis stabilization units are Windsor and Merrill. Crisis centers have a wide range of techniques and tools available to them to stabilize a client who may be undiagnosed, unmedicated, or otherwise improperly treated with their mental illness. Crisis centers are designed to accommodate residents in respite stay, usually from 1 to 7 days. So once again, that's not what we do. That's a hospital-level, crisis-level care. We're an adult residential facility that really helps clients gain their independence when it comes to their ADL skills, and helping them find a job and helping them find housing. What does it mean to be an adult residential facility? Are you a psychiatric hospital? No, we are not an institution for mental disease, an IMD, crisis center, or similar acute care settings. Our program is designed to be the second or third step down from the crisis center or institutions for mental disease and towards reintegration and in non-supportive housing. Local psychiatric hospitals are listed right there. Once again, that's not us. And that's part of my presentation. But I also wanted to talk about a couple things about not just who we are and why do we do this. I personally lost an uncle that died in a psychiatric hospital and deal with PTSD and other things personally. This is a very personal thing for me. It's not just a business. And I want to make it's been really hard for me personally to hear that our residents from J.C. Wallace House get blamed for things that happen in Grand Terrace. And I just want to really clarify that to date, there hasn't been any arrest outside of our community in the outer community that involved a J.C. Wallace resident. A J.C. Wallace resident has never hurt a child. A J.C. Wallace resident has never hurt a resident in this community. And I just want to make it very clear to everybody that's here, don't discriminate against mental illness. It's just like cancer, it's just like a flu or any other disease you could have. And what has happened here, because of the misinformation, is that there has been an actual discrimination against people with mental illness. Our residents don't hurt you. Our residents have not done any damage to the city. And we just want to clarify what's true and what's false. And also, let me clarify, this nice gentleman over here had a conversation with me because I got here early, and he said, there's some things you just need to clarify. Was there a gag order when you purchased this community where the press couldn't talk about this or the owners couldn't talk about this? I said, what are you talking about? A gag order? There was no gag order. We talked to the press after meeting at the mayor's office. The person that I bought the building from, I was doing business with. There was no other offers on the building besides our offer. There was nobody eager to go into senior living right after COVID. The senior living business was dying, unfortunately. It was very, very difficult to get clients to come in and build the census here. So there had to be a different plan. We're a privately owned business. We have the right to purchase a business. We have the right to run it under the laws that are stated. We have the right to do what we are doing. And our residents have a right to live here. Let's not discriminate against people that have not done anything wrong in this city or hurt anybody. So I really, I'm encouraged today to come and talk about this and clarify things and hopefully take questions and be able to answer questions from everybody that is here, because I think that is really important. Let's clarify things today and let's move forward as a community. We came in, and maybe some of you in the first meeting could clarify that also, and the first thing that I said, we want to be in partnership with the city of Grand Terrace. How are we going to become a good partner to everybody here? We've built a relationship from the sheriff's department, from the mayor's office, to everybody that we encounter from the fire department. We went and we handed out business cards to every business and said, if you have any issues whatsoever, please, here is our number. We are available 24/7. Just call us. We will come and deal with whatever situation there is. We've been lucky that there hasn't been any calls. But we also get blamed because we have, quite a few unhoused people that live behind the building in encampment. And when they walk up and down the streets, automatically people assume that these are our residents. Those are not our residents. Call the community. Say, hey, there's somebody walking up the streets. I'm not sure if they're lost and confused. Can you maybe check to see if that's your resident and help him? That's the community we are looking for. And that's who I thought Grand Terrace as a city was. People that are welcoming, that will work together and help people. That's why we wanted to continue and do business here, is because of those reasons. So please, let's all work together. Let's come to some kind of agreement and move forward and stop the gossip and the rumors, because nothing good comes out of that. We need to have everything based on facts. I am here to answer any questions anybody has today. We are 100% transparent from the very first moment that we decided to do this. There was no gag order, and there was no other offers on the community. So I really, really wanted to clarify that. And let me make one more thing clear. Since the very first day that we had meetings with the city and the sheriff's department, we as a company, even though none of our residents have done anything that is bad in the community, we said we are pledging $90,000 per year, if the city wants it, to get an extra help in the sheriff's department. We are still willing to do that. We come to you as a partner, not as an enemy. So please keep that in mind next time there's text messages, assumptions, and negative talk about J.C. Wallace House. I am here personally as an owner, a co-founder, and the CEO of the company, telling you that we are here to support the city, but we are 100% dedicating to supporting our residents also. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Okay, Ms. Dominic, the council has a couple of questions for you. Ken? Jeff?
Questions, comments?
Mayor Pro Tem? Do you have anything, Jeff?
No, no questions.
This is
Okay.
the time.
I have some questions then for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, first about the gag order, when you said nobody knew about that, I just got elected mayor and I didn't know about it. And I guess you started in September when the thing started for sale, so I don't know what they're talking about on that. I know we were told that it was hush-hush, and that was it. So there might be some misconstruction, communication that, but here's a question for you. One that you got me is on the unhoused encampment. Is there an unhoused encampment there? Because if there is, the city of Grand Terrace will take care of it right
So
now.
from what I understand, it's on the other side of the bridge. I don't know where exactly it
Colton
is.
side.
Yeah, and I don't know
And
what
we're working
side
with
it
that.
is.
Okay, because
Yes.
it made it sound like there was one right behind your place.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know exactly when one city
Okay.
starts and the other one stops.
Do the residents there have a curfew?
Yes, our residents have a curfew of 9 o'clock.
Okay. And what happens when they don't come back after the curfew?
So usually what happens, it's rare that they don't come up after curfew, and it depends on the resident. Sometimes the resident goes out to visit family, sometimes the resident has a right to stay past curfew, and they tell us, we're not coming back until after curfew. If a resident doesn't come back after 9 o'clock and they are missing per se, if they're a conserved clients, at that point we will do a missing person report.
So how many walkaways does the J.C. Wallace House have?
Walkaways, not that many, but I can't quote, I don't know the number. I would have to send that to you.
Okay, now you said this isn't a mental facility, but it's a step-down facility. So there's evaluations before they come to be a resident there?
Absolutely. So let's talk about the process a little bit. San Bernardino County Behavioral Health sends us a referral. The referral packet is usually probably about 20 to 30 pages. We have a team that actually goes and assesses the person in person and does an in-person assessment to make sure that they meet the guidelines under our licensure. And at that point, we as a team decide if the client is going to be admitted or not. And we have said no to quite a few clients. And the other thing is we don't house sex offenders, so I really want to make that clear.
Okay, so on an evaluation process, you said they can come and go, so they already been cleared to be out in public?
Yes, so every resident, there is a physician's report. It's a state form that's about 4 to 6 pages long, and a doctor has to sign off on that form before the client comes into our community. That's the Department of Social Services regulations, and on that form, it states that the client, yes, could come and go as they please. Otherwise, they would not be accepted to our community.
Okay, well, tell me about your security in the residential place. What kind of security?
So
you
we
have?
have security 24 hours a day, so that means it's a security officer that is at the front desk. We have probably close to 60 to 80 cameras throughout the community and on the outside. And we have staff 24/7. We have social workers, we have programming, we have ADL counselors, we have an executive director, we have med techs, mental health workers, dietary staff, housekeeping. So just to clarify, somebody did call in a complaint to Department of Social Services that we were understaffed. That complaint was unfounded, and the LPA that actually came in from DSS said that she's never seen so much staff in a community with our level of care. And all of it was unfounded, and that's actually on the DSS website. We have no citations for staffing or any other citations.
Okay.
Please check.
Panhandling,
I'm sorry?
panhandling.
So panhandling's, we don't encourage our residents to go out there and do that. If there's an issue, what we asked, and I think there was one resident that was an issue with, and we addressed it right away. This is why we went to local businesses, and we said, if you have any issues with our residents, here is a business card. We're on call 24/7. Please call us, and our security or staff member will come and get the resident. But it hasn't been, the panhandling that we are speaking of, I think there's 3 people that come and panhandle around our community, and I think it's a 7-Eleven and a liquor store, and those are not our residents. That's another assumption that those residents are ours. I will give you another example. There was a lady walking with a blanket on the main street, wrapped. Somebody just mentioned this to me here at the meeting or at a previous meeting. An assumption right away probably was that that's a J.C. Wallace House resident when it's not.
Okay. Now, I know you said you gave phone numbers to the businesses, and y'all actually at an event, and I had one of the businesses tell me about a lady that came in their business and was harassing customers and doing all kinds of stuff. Now, they called and you picked them up, but wouldn't that be part of the evaluation why, somebody's like that, not really all there, shouldn't be going out there and loitering and harassing customers and other residents inside the grocery store? Because the grocery store is there to work, and that young couple used a lot of their money to open up that place, and now they're have to deal with this. Now, I know we have in the state of California issues and stuff, but we're not expecting, your business to have somebody come in there that did that, your residents. So I know there's going to be some that slip through the cracks, but, it scared a lot of people and stuff. So that's what we're talking about, that kind of stuff that's going on, and then the loitering in the shopping centers.
So I would like to address that. I know exactly the incident that you're talking about, and I think Olivia, our executive director, is here, and she would know that too. The resident was actually lost and confused and needed help. And as soon as people figured out she was from J.C. Wallace House, all of a sudden it was chaos. She was doing this, she was doing that. I actually called the business and I said, can I get a video of this? Because most places have a video of what happens. That video never came to me. And it was very clear when she was brought back to the building and it was explained what happened, that she was lost and confused. She just couldn't find her way home, and she got nervous and scared. And I guarantee you, if that was a senior that had dementia, everybody else would have acted very differently, not the client from J.C. Wallace House.
Okay, because I also had a resident call me and told me about another one of your residents at McDonald's, and I had to call the sheriff to go there and check it out, and he was lost and confused too to take him. So my point then, you're saying you want to give 90,000, donate 90,000 for our sheriffs, which when we first talked, I said our sheriffs are a precious resource and our first responders, and plus we don't put, the city of Grand Terrace in any harm's way. And, but that $90,000, you said you have one security officer. Couldn't you guys hire a security like Loma Linda Hospital with the vehicle and go around and looking so people might be lost if you have like a time frame
Yeah,
or
that's
something?
not a productive way of using our resources. We don't have a lot of people. So I would just like to say, before, when we were a senior living community, we had quite a few clients that would leave and were lost and confused, and the sheriff department would go out and say, hey, let me help you, you're lost and confused, you're from the senior living facility. What is the difference between that and our client? And let's just say we've been here for how long now, and that happened twice, that somebody was lost and confused. But nobody in the city complained if that was a senior. And I know, because I was the management company, we had one client that used to get lost almost every day and would go down to that grocery store and then great Mexican restaurant down the street, and they would sit there and say, I don't know how to get home. They would get scared, they would start screaming. Nobody reacted to that differently. Why are you reacting it differently if it's somebody because you think they're from J.C. Wallace House or because they're not a senior? It's the same situation. They just got lost and confused. 2 times that has happened. I wouldn't say that's a crisis where you need to have security driving around looking for people.
Okay, so the lost and confused, do you give them some kind of card to give to somebody for ID, like, a lanyard or something for help? Are they going to try to explain?
They do have our business card, how they could reach us. So, I mean, this is not clients that have dementia. This is a client that just didn't know. They knew where they were from. They said, I am from J.C. Wallace House. I just don't know how to get back home. Can you help me? They're new to the area. If we move to the area, if we get lost and confused, we need to get directions. Now we have Waze and Google and all that stuff. But before that, we would stop at a gas station and say, hey, can you help me get to my, I'm lost and confused. I don't know how to get back home, or whatever the situation is. So I think we're really blowing up something that,
No, I don't think we're blowing up. I
yeah.
think there's got to be something for them that are lost, confused, just like in dementia, some kind of lanyard that they could have just in case they do, because they might not be able to communicate. They might be lost and confused down in Colton. So I don't think we're blowing that part up, ma'am. I think we need to have something there so they could read, hey, please help me, I don't know where I'm going.
right, so I will make you, they know where they're going. They say, I live at J.C. Wallace House. These are not clients that
But
mentally.
there might be another city that doesn't know what a J.C. Wallace House is.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. We will make sure that they have that business card on them, on their, somewhere attached to them or somewhere where if they get lost, they could say, hey, this is where I'm from. Can you please help me?
Okay.
That's not a problem.
All right, thank you. Okay, the council has no more questions, so we're going to public comment.
That's it for me?
We're going to have public comment now, so.
Okay, thank you.
ma'am.
Okay.
When you have a public comment, you could ask a question and you could talk to somebody at the J.C. Wallace House afterwards, because, otherwise we're going to be here all night. But if you want to address your public comment question, we'll make a note of it too. But I'm sure they're going to stay around afterwards in the lobby and you can address questions. Is that right?
Well, I think this would be an appropriate time to ask.
Well, sir, hold on. When you come to the podium, ask your question and we'll make sure the question gets answered on your 3 minutes, okay? All right, Deborah?
So we have a written comment from Denise and Shelley Rosenkild, where they had some concerns regarding the company that sold the property in question. They didn't believe that it was their intent to sell it to some place that had a lack of supervision over new residents. And now that it's done, they were hoping that the city officials can find a way to keep the city safe as well as protecting the residents of J.C. Wallace House. They don't feel comfortable with people roaming around panhandling and loitering in public with their pants hanging down to their knees, bare bottom exposed. They acknowledge that they don't know for a fact that these people that they've witnessed are personally from J.C. Wallace, but the residents of J.C. Wallace, they would like more restrictions placed on them and the property, and have a chaperone for them when they leave. They are both concerned and dismayed at how the city's business current operations are negatively affecting the community and the quality of life. We have a second written comment from Crystal Castillo, and she wanted to express her concerns that having a facility like J.C. Wallace in the community are based on having it in the community. She's a licensed clinical social worker and worked previously with an agency that provided support to facilities like J.C. Wallace. It's her experience many of the residents struggled with severe mental health issues and substance abuse issues. Those issues would often spill out into the community. The residents would panhandle, loiter, sell, and abuse drugs. Those are the issues that she's worried will become present in the city of Grand Terrace. This past Sunday, she witnessed one of the residents walking in the middle of, a resident walking in the middle of traffic. As cars braked and honked, his response was to flip off and yell at the cars. He then walked down the driveway to J.C. Wallace. Imagine walking on the street and having to walk past that man. Many would not feel safe in that situation. The community is small, and J.C. Wallace is near schools and a prime walking route for families and children. Grand Terrace High School students run different routes throughout the city for track and cross-country as well. Recently, the cross-country team was told they are no longer allowed to run in Riverside because the homeless problem became too unsafe. She now worries it is those same safety concerns would arise, making it unsafe for the students to run and train in the city. She understands and sympathizes that the residents are struggling and are in need of support to help with their recovery. Her questions are, how do they handle situations where they find out if a resident is causing safety concerns in the community? What are the process and supports offered to the residents? Is there a specific contact person they can contact if they are seeing issues related to residents at J.C. Wallace? She appreciates time reading this comment and hopes she can get more information. Our next public speaker is Robert Sanchez.
Mr. Sanchez.
So, good evening, Mayor and Council. I had a whole speech written down, but I think I'm just going to speak from the heart. After hearing what I just heard, first of all, I want to clarify, a patient suffering from dementia is completely different from a patient suffering from schizophrenia or bipolar 1. I've worked in mental health for over 20 years now. I've worked with many of these clients. I have a compassion for these patients because mental health, schizophrenia, is a disease that it lasts a lifetime. But understand this, our streets are no longer safe because these patients are unstable. She had some facilities up there, Arrowhead, Canyon Ridge, those are inpatient hospitals, but the locations these patients are coming from are just a step down. I've been in these facilities, severe mental health, and I'm hearing some of the doctors saying, oh yeah, the client is going now to J.C. Wallace. I was like, wait, J.C. Wallace in Grand Terrace? They said, yeah. The school is right down the street. That amazes me. There's got to be rules or guidelines to open up a facility right down the street from an elementary school. You have junior high kids, you have high school kids that walk by this facility every single day, and you're asking them to interact with patients who are unstable. Believe me, I feel for them, but this is not the right location. I've talked to business owners, and shame on them. They need to start coming to these meetings because I asked them, are your businesses affected? They're all, yes. People are not coming here shopping as much because they're afraid. I've sat outside J.C. Wallace, parked in the liquor store in the parking lot for 2 hours on several occasions, watching patients walk out of the facility, okay? I've seen a few urinate in the bushes right there. I've seen one walk to the end of the street, dig in the bushes. I'm like, what is he getting? He's getting his cigarettes, because that's where he stashes it, okay? They go to the liquor store, they walk behind the laundromat, and I've seen them, I follow them. And they're not the homeless one. These are residents who live there. They're smoking and drinking in the back, okay? I'm at the donut shop, and I recognize the same ones. They're walking by the donut shop, and in the donut shop in the morning, you have a lot of elderly patients, a lot of elderly people when they're eating. They become very uneasy, okay? I see the two individuals that I saw from J. Wallace sit right in front of the grocery outlet, right by the front door. Ask yourself, are you gonna go shopping in there? Because I know I'm not. I have a 17-year-old daughter who loves boba. Brand new boba location in our city. I will not let her go there alone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hold the clapping down, please. Hold the clapping, please. I know we're passionate about this, but please just maintain this. Next,
Dan Flores.
Mr. Flores.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I had something really to say, but having listened to the lady from the J.C. Wallace House kind of changed my mind a little bit, because I do feel for these people, okay? They're still God's children. But having to deal with them sometimes, and I can't even say 100% they're from the A.C. Wallace. For instance, my wife and I and our friend Dora, we go to the donut shop quite a bit in the morning. And there are not one, but two, but three ladies who constantly asking for money or can you buy me my coffee and donut? It's starting to kind of bother me now, because we've told them, no, we're not going to give you money, but they keep constantly asking. I don't know if they're from their facility. Now, that she mentioned, if you have any problem, you can come to me, and, you know. So what I'm going to do now, if I see something that I don't like or a person, I will take a picture of them and personally walk over there to their house, to the J.C. Wallace house, and show them the pictures. Does this person belong to you? And hopefully, if it does, I'll explain what they did, if they can have a talk with them not to do it. But it's kind of hard. I mean, you still have to open your heart to these people, but at the same time, you have respect for your community. You don't want anything wrong, because all it takes is one time for one of these people who lose it and cause bodily harm, and there you have it. So I will work with the house by, again, taking pictures of the person or persons of what they are doing and show them to the facility, and if they did do it, that they will do something about it. I'm willing to give them a chance, okay? But if you ask me, would I want this place here in the first place? No. And I really don't know how they got here. I don't know if the council and city of Grand Terrace had something to do with it, but I do know the state can override the city. I know the county can override the city. You will have so many of this, you will do this and that. So maybe they did have something to do with it. But I'm not blaming any of you guys. But we're gonna have to work together to get this problem solved. So if we do it together, I'm sure we'll come with a solution for this. But I do understand how this lady feels about her house. So, and hopefully we can resolve it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Cynthia Ruiz.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, yes, so I just have concerns. I know he was a resident because he told me. I was at the dollar store making a purchase. Gentleman standing there, I thought maybe I would let him go ahead of me. He says, I said, come on, sir, you want to go ahead of me? Oh, no, thanks. I'm not in a hurry to get back to the dungeon. I go, dungeon? Thinking, okay, what are you talking about? So I saw a lady approaching him and saying, oh, are you going back? Yeah, I'm due to go back. Well, then all of a sudden I'm standing there in line and, to make my purchase, and I hear all this profanity, the F-bombs, this and that and that. And I thought, was he talking on some pods or phone? No, he's just literally. So I'm standing there in line thinking, okay, do I finish my purchase or do I just leave? I'm so afraid. I've been here for 30 years in our lovely city, our Blue Mountain community of Grand Terrace. And when I see online, I take this very passionate. When I see online, people are saying, oh, welcome to the new Grand Badino. I'm like, oh, come on, this is our city. Grand Terrace, the Blue Mountain city, the beautiful place. I mean, but now we have, and I'm not discriminating, but I want to feel safe when I'm out in the community. I mean, even at night, I go to Staters or a dollar store. I'm like, I'm afraid now. So again, and the gentleman had a great idea. Take a picture, send it in, or go to them and say, does this one belongs to you? Let's help. Let's work together. I'm willing to work, but I don't want to be afraid of my own community, you know? So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lisa Green.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. My name is Lisa Panklis Green, and I'm the owner of 3B's Boutique. So yes, I am a business owner, and I'm here because I have mixed feelings on J.C. Wallace and the homeless right now. So since my business frequents, the homeless frequent it, and J.C. Wallace residents also frequent it, I have had some really nice members of J.C. Wallace House come in. They've been respectful, they've been kind. However, recently, on January 13th, approximately 5 p.m., right before I was closing, we did have one of the residents come in there was actually 3 of them total. The one gentleman was in a wheelchair, and he asked if we had a public restroom. And I said no, but he's more than happy to go down to Woody's and use that restroom. So one of the residents went with him to go towards Woody's, but when he got between my store and Woody's, he stopped his wheelchair right in front of my store and urinated. The lady that was with him was walking behind him. She stopped, she turned around because she saw he was basically exposing himself, urinating. When they came back into the store, I thought, wow, that was really quick, right? He's already back in my store. Later on, when I closed my store, I realized that the gentleman had just urinated in front of our store, a whole bunch of water, and you could smell the urine. So after I closed the store, I went directly right over to J.C. Wallace and wanted to speak to the manager, and at that point, no managers were there, or at least that's what they told me. No one could meet me, see me, talk to me. I've left several messages for J.C. Wallace to ask for help and to let them know and show them the actual video of the situation. Now, that's not the only situation we've had. Another gentleman also was homeless, and he has actually been arrested, and he was one of the sex offenders that was out on the street. So we have 2 situations. We have people from J.C. Wallace and homeless. So again, I don't want to discriminate that all the people out there are from J.C. Wallace. However, we have to do something because this is in front of our store. This is in front of our restaurant. And I can't lose business, and I just wanted to ask you guys, what do we do together to solve this situation? But Betty, I do have that videotape, so you could see that and show you that we do have proof. When I contacted the sheriff, they said it was already too far past by the time, because I kept on trying to call J.C. Wallace. So the next time something happens, I would need to contact them immediately. So just to let everybody know, I don't know how to solve this situation, but I definitely need your help so I don't lose business. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jay Nichols.
Before we get started, sir, what was your question?
Well, I'd like to make a comment first.
Okay, go ahead.
I want this on the record that we need time, just like you had time, to ask questions for everyone, pertinent questions that would get us in a situation where we're more productive and not using our comment time to do those questions.
Well, you're using your comment time right now, so get to
I
the
know
point.
I am, and
Okay.
this is why I want to put this on the record, that we need time to have questions answered in a good, productive, quality manner,
Okay.
just like you did. So first question is, I have a lot of history with group homes and things like that. So what ages are allowed in the Wallace home?
Okay, sir, we're not going to do question and ask it. We'll get the
I thought
questions
you
and then we'll
were gonna
get it
allow
to you.
me-
Yes, just go with your 3 minutes, please.
No, I thought you were going to allow me to ask questions
No, I'm
during
going
this
to,
time.
I'm going to write down your questions and I'm going to ask them.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
But I wanted these to be available
Excuse me, sir.
for everyone else.
According to council rules, all questions, all comments are addressed to the mayor and the council, not to the audience.
Okay?
Thank you for
I'm addressing
that.
them to you. So, why aren't we not allowed to ask questions during this time or
Sir,
previously?
that's the rules and it's been established like that since 1978. If you want to ask questions like that, you could run for council and come up here. Right now, you have a public comment, or you could write the mayor's office or the city clerk, and we'll get questions answered for you. This is your public comment, all right? And I'm doing you a
Okay,
favor by
my
writing down
public-
your questions, and I will ask them. So you please go with
Okay,
your
my
comment.
public comment is, we need to have time to ask questions in this general audience, have them answered so that we can be more informed with the situation, okay? For instance, is it possible for them to wear bands, you know, identifiable bands, just like runners would, that are maybe fluorescent or, you know, obviously identifiable, that have information on them so that they can contact the Wallace House quickly? Would businesses be allowed to have, hey, please contact the Wallace House if you notice any disturbance or whatever, and get that information to them quickly so that things won't escalate into a worse situation? Okay? So I would have other questions like that, but I just think that it's this time that we need to have them answered in this audience so that we can be productive about where we're going with this. Okay? So my comment is, I see both sides of it, in the sense of, you've got some people that are beautiful people, probably at the resident house. You've got some people that probably don't belong there. And you have some people that are high caretaking, and they're going to get more money, and they might be tempted to bring in some of those people.
All right,
That's it.
sir. Thank you. Ms. Dominici, to get off script, is there a possible way to where the residents can wear bands to help identify? Please.
So it's up to the residents if they want to put a bracelet onto them. We cannot make them wear it. But as I suggested, I think it's a great idea to have a business card or something on them that people could contact. I absolutely agree with that, and I think that's a great idea. It's just how we do it. So I am going to have a Teams meeting tomorrow with Olivia, who is our executive director and runs the community tomorrow, and to see how quickly we could implement something where a client could be identified pretty quickly if there's a situation on the outside of the community.
Okay, one other thing, if the residents have questions, can they email J.C. Wallace directly?
Yes, so we could provide that. I don't know if there's public comment area or somewhere where we could provide that email, but yes, they could. There's always security there. So when you come in and say, I want to speak to the manager, management's not on 24 hours a day, the rest of the staff is. But if you come and tell the security that there's an incident, they're more than happy to help you. We've done that. And I also just want to say, I'm sorry, the lady from, I apologize. I would love to meet with you
Ma'am, can you
one-on-one
speak into the
after.
mic, please?
Sorry, I would love to meet with her one-on-one after and put a plan together so this never happens again. So that's, we could share our email. We're here to work with the community, and if there's a way that we could have something on the resident that identifies them, that's something definitely we would be willing to do. And I think it's a great idea.
All right, thank you. Deborah, how many other public comments?
Larissa Hawkins.
Ms. Hawkins?
Okay, I don't have a speech. Couple things. I know they're directed towards you, so I'll let you ask her. If they have $90,000 a year, they said, to put towards law enforcement here in Grand Terrace, but they can't put that towards what you mentioned, some sort of patrol that drives around. Her comment was they don't have enough staff to do something like that, or that would be a waste of a resource. But she had just said before that they had plenty of staffing, so much staffing. So that's kind of contradictory. I don't understand that at all. I do understand homeless exists. However, I think everybody here can agree that it's not a coincidence that as soon as the J.C. Wallace House moved in, then we started getting all the homeless. That's no coincidence. So, and another thing, this is just a sidebar, comparing some of these clients' mental health issues with cancer, that's pretty low. Senior living, I do know people who personally worked at that senior living center before it closed down. Their beds were full, so I don't understand the comment about there was just no money in it. So that's what this all boils down to. It's all about money. I'd like to ask her where she lives. Does she live here? Or maybe she would think a little bit differently about our concerns. I would also like to know if any of these people's mental health issues is also connected to drug abuse. Are any of them convicted drug users, abusers, whatever? And she set up there some of the things they do help people reintegrate into society, basic hygiene, this, that. If these people need that much assistance with hygiene, with the basic fundamentals of life, then they should not be walking around our city with no chaperone. If they can't take care of themselves in the most basic ways that she put up on that screen, they should not be able to walk around in our community with our kids. I have my 11-year-old daughter with me here today. She is not of age to like roam around like junior high and high school kids yet, but I wouldn't let her. It's sad that that's the point that we have come to. I've met so many people who have moved here in the last 6 months who thought it was something that it's not. And that's so sad, because I've lived here my whole life. My grandparents have been here before the city was even incorporated. And they've said they've never seen it like this. So again, I do understand homeless are here. In my whole life here, there's been one or two, the regulars, everybody's seen them. But it's not a coincidence. These are not just homeless people. I watched 5 or 6 of them the other day walk out of J.C. Wallace House, not from a homeless encampment behind, nothing. They walked out. They walked down towards McDonald's and Staters and were loitering in the parking lot, harassing people, panhandling. Watched it with my own eyes. Like this gentleman said, you can watch it. We can blame it on the homeless all day long. It's just really sad that people, elderly, were kicked out of their homes all for money. That's all it was, just money.
Thank you, ma'am.
Rita Taryn.
Who was that, Deborah?
Rita Taryn.
Hi, Mayor and councilor members. This is actually my first time I've been to this. Obviously, I came down because of the J.C. Wallace house. My first concern was, the first thought was, wasn't this for a traumatic brain injury house, right? That was the first thing I thought. I was like, wow, okay, so it seems like it's something completely different. I guess my biggest concern is I work from home, so, you know, in the mornings, I like to go out to the donut shop or to Woody's or wherever just to go get myself something to eat, right? And the first thing I see, all these little kids walking, and that, I mean, that's really my biggest concern is just seeing these kids walking. And like the other lady just said, it's too much of a coincidence. I've been here for 20 years, and this is the first time I have seen something happen like this with all these people just roaming around. And, you know, like I'm pretty sure people remember or have seen the guy that was like in the corner by the Chevron pointing like he's shooting, you know. And the first thing that came to my mind was I saw this little petite girl, maybe 13 years old, walking to the middle school. You know, should she cross the street and go around so she doesn't have to pass by that guy? You know, I don't know. Those are my concerns, mostly the children. So.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Pam Lemus.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am a neighbor to Grand Terrace. I live in Colton, La Loma Hills. I've lived there for 56 years and have actually lived there before Grand Terrace became incorporated. So I'm here because I am concerned as a neighbor to Grand Terrace because I do business in Grand Terrace. This last Thursday, I was on my lunch because I work from home and decided to run some errands in town. And I am at the stoplight at Canal and Barton Road, watched about 7 or 8 of these guys come from J.C. Wallace. About 5 of them proceeded to cross the street over to the liquor store, and about 2 or 3 of them went towards the donut shop. I proceeded to run my errands, went down Barton Road a little ways, handled my business, came back, went into the Dollar Tree parking lot, where I observed what I believed to be 2 of those gentlemen loitering outside the Dollar Tree. I walk into Dollar Tree, one of them proceeds to follow me. And I know he followed me because I went down a certain aisle. He followed me down the aisle. He didn't grab anything. I proceeded to grab what I needed quickly because I wanted to get away from him. I felt uncomfortable. Got in line. The gentleman stood behind me, talking to himself, and I felt uncomfortable. So I got out of line, proceeded to go back down the aisle and grab some more items. He, at that point, was still in line. I came in behind him. He did not know what he needed to do because he felt uncomfortable at that point. So he was trying to figure out, what can I buy or make it look like I'm going to buy? He grabs a random piece of, I don't know, coin packages, and he's asking the clerk, oh, do they have these at the bank? Maybe I can get them at the bank. And then he proceeds to throw the package down, and he walks out, okay? He followed me in there. I don't know what his intent was. Now, the Lord has not given me a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and sound mind, so I wasn't afraid. A little bit squeamish, but I wasn't afraid. So this is concerning because I've never in my life experienced this in Grand Terrace, ever, ever. I've always felt safe doing business in the city of Grand Terrace. There was a comment made about not being discriminatory towards these people. I think it was disrespectful, and I felt like I was being gaslit by you telling me that to keep me silent. I'm not gonna be silent, not for the safety of Grand Terrace, my neighbors who I love dearly, and not for the safety of myself or my family members. So I didn't appreciate that. Mental health runs in my family, so I get it, but not at the expense of safety and feeling safe in my community. Another thing I'll add is the elderly are the largest growing population, so don't tell us that there was no business there. I actually have an elderly parent who lives with me, okay? So thank you for your time, Mayor and Council, for listening to our concerns, and I hope there's something that can be done to resolve the issue.
Thank you, ma'am.
Martha Light.
Hello, thank you for taking this time.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
That's right.
Thank you, ma'am.
I was talking to that. Okay, let's see. I've lived here since 2012. I have a 12-year-old daughter. I do like to take a mile walk up Van Buren, and the last couple of times was about 5-something at night p.m., and just some lady was just walking down the street screaming and yelling, and I ran into her on 2 walks. On the 3rd walk, some guy with a mask just had a mask at nighttime and a hat, and I just felt really uncomfortable walking by myself, so I stopped walking. That's it. I'm not walking no more. So I can't say 100% that was a J.C. Wallace resident, but all of a sudden, J.C. Wallace came, and now I'm feeling like this. I'm seeing this. So like she said, it's just not a coincidence. My question, maybe, Mayor, you could ask is, you said there was an 80% success rate at J.C. Wallace. What happens to the 20%? Is that 20% just walking out the doors and now they're the homeless people outside? Maybe. I don't know. That's something to try to figure out what happens to the 20% because there is more homeless people out here. I went to the fitness park trying to get my exercise there, just try to get out of the house, and there was a elderly, unstable man going in there, made me feel uncomfortable. There I go again. I had to leave, no more walks, can't go to the fitness park where I want to feel safe. I used to get my gas 4 a.m. at Chevron on my way to LA to work. Don't want to do that anymore. Now I'm going to go during the daytime to go get that done. I'm not going to go to the ATM at night. I just don't feel safe anymore here. My daughter, she has a lot of friends on her street. Now I'm extra concerned for her going house to house, I don't know who's out there. I do watch her, but I don't have that sense of safety anymore. That's gone. So my concern is, my daughter and these kids out there just having to be around those unstable people. And I don't think it's just mental. I think there is some sort of substance abuse. So I think that needs to be clear when she had her presentation, that I don't think it's just mental issues. Let's see. And I would just like to see what you can do, Mayor and council members, on resolving this issue. If this is something that, I don't know, is it an opportunity, is there a possibility that we just can no longer have J.C. Wallace House, or is this something we need to, that's here to stay and we all need to figure it out? I don't know, but thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bobby Forbes.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here for your presentation, and I'm also glad that you're here to hear us. I have called your facility when a couple of the people have knocked on my window when I'm parked at the donut shop, not even out of my vehicle yet. I've called J.C. Wallace multiple times, have never had a call back. I do call the sheriff when I have an issue. I know their number by heart, and I give it to all these people in town that ask for it on Facebook. While I can appreciate mental illness, I know that when your other business was open and it was going to be closing down, that the people that were working there were very much concerned about what was going to be coming. They somehow knew. I believe that staff knew, maybe not council. The CUP got changed without anybody knowing. I don't know that process, but I'm concerned about that process. Did staff do it without telling anybody? I don't see how they could. But maybe they did. Something happened when the changing of the guard between our city managers, not our council. Mr. Henderson is the only one that wasn't on council when that document was signed in September of, I believe, 22. I'm very concerned. I no longer work at night. I probably have 25 pictures of the people coming out of your facility because my office window looks at your driveway. I know the difference between a homeless person and J.C. Wallace. I believe that I do. I can show you my photos. The gentleman in the wheelchair, I have called multiple times because he's been in the middle of Barton Roads just sitting there. I don't know what's going to happen to him. He just sits there. He goes across the street to the Woody Shopping Center, then he comes out in the middle where the cars are, and he sits in the middle of the street. He sits in the middle of the parking lot at Grocery Outlet. The last time I saw him, he was shaved, he was cleaned up. Somebody from your facility, I believe, was pushing him like another resident, not a worker per se. So he was so cleaned up, something happened to him. Somebody did that to him, not just because he went to the barber shop. So when you're on the street and you see people change like that, the homeless group, it's usually because they've gone to jail for something, gone to the hospital, something has happened. I'm very concerned. I've been here since '86. In 2 more years, if the community doesn't come around, I'm going to be out. I will not stay here and live my senior years in a community where I can't get around. I'm walking with canes now. I'm not comfortable to get out of my vehicle and walk to the donut shop, the Thai kitchen, the grocery outlet without someone assisting me. The people that work in those facilities watch out for me. 5 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. I'd have been very comfortable to have a confrontation with them, but not anymore. And this is not okay. I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah, next.
Jessica Campbell.
Good evening, Council. I have a few questions that I would like for you to write down and ask if possible, as well as a few comments that I'd like to make. I would like clarification as to what the facility actually is, because when I look on the website, it says that it's strictly for the mentally unstable, but I feel like there's some type of underlying with that, and it's not just for the mental unstable. So I would like to know how this was presented to the city when they first asked to move into our city. I know that I was at the planning meeting last week in regards to the new warehousing that's going in down the street, and there was so much question in regards to the trucks and the noise that they're gonna make to the city. Where was the question, and why weren't we allowed to ask questions then? And how was the facility being labeled as when it got introduced to our city? My daughter attends the dance studio in town. I was dropping her off And I park at the dentist parking lot because our parking lot is generally pretty full. And there was a gentleman urinating at the dentist office at 7 p.m. And my daughter, who's 9, had to ask me what was going on. I don't feel that that's acceptable. I want to know what the repercussions are of residents who don't abide curfew. I feel like that question got kind of brushed off. If someone is continuously abiding curfew, or if someone is continuously seen in the middle of the street, what happens? Are they just allowed to go back out the next day? Is there some type of punishment that goes with it? I want to know what happens there. And my last question is for the city council. What is your plan to make sure that the residents feel safe in our city? Because as you can hear, a lot of us have been here for a really long time. We're not feeling safe and we're not feeling confident. So what is your plan to change that?
Thank you.
Terry Nichols.
Good evening. I've been a resident of Grand Terrace for a lot of years too. In fact, I was here before it was incorporated. And I wanted to just read what the mission and the vision statement is of Grand Terrace. And the mission statement says, to preserve and protect our community and its exceptional quality of life. That's part of it. Our vision says Grand Terrace is an exceptionally safe and well-managed city known for its natural beauty and recreational opportunities, a place where residents enjoy an outstanding quality of life that fosters pride and an engaged community, encouraging families to come and remain for generations. So I am a person who takes a lot of walks, and I began noticing almost right away that there were some very people who made my antennas go up, that just did not look like safe people to me. And I have had several interactions with them. And just last week, I had the same man come up to me when I was walking, ask me for money. And then the next day, I went to the new auto parts store. And while I was sitting in my car after making a purchase there was a woman who came and knocked on my window and totally startled me. I have seen several of them carousing in the street on a Sunday when we were going to eat at Woody's. I've seen them in the grassy area smoking around the bushes, and then the security guard going over there and them quickly putting it out and trying to act like, they weren't doing anything. So, and I've had mental health situations in my family too, so I'm not unsympathetic. But on top of the visions and the mission for the city, one of the things that, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, that you said about these J.C. Wallace House people is that they want a quality of life and to adhere to their best lives. Well, it's affecting our best lives and our quality of life. And I don't know what the answer is, but we only have a 3.5 square mile. This city is only 3.5 square miles. So that's one reason why it's so noticeable, because it's such a small city. And so, the residents that are here, we notice it, and it is not comfortable anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Michelle Sabino.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for coming out today and presenting and being here with us on behalf of J.C. Wallace. The Mayor and the Council knows that over the last several months, Johan, Bobby, Cindy, and I, we've all been actively working and concerned about the crime and the issues in the city, and so there's been that issue. There's also been a social media uprising of concerns with what's happening with J.C. Wallace, and the concern, a couple of things. An 80% successful outcome rate. However, 28% are transitioned back to higher level care, which sounds like a failure if they have to go back. I'm a speech language pathologist. I've been practicing for approximately 20 years. My area of expertise is those with neurological differences and diversity. And so those who are unable to demonstrate social norms, ADLs, being able to demonstrate proper executive functioning, those are of concern whether or not they are being improperly released to your facility or that there's a failure in the assessments that are being conducted by the staff and being able to ascertain whether or not they're appropriate for your facility. This community is a great community, and we come together and we are tight-knit and we are like a family, and we would 110% stand beside you if, in fact, the residents in the facility were who you state they are. But with the 30...
Hold on, Michelle.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I apologize.
Just a reminder to speak to the
Yes,
council.
I apologize.
Thank you.
With an approximately 30%, those going back to higher level care, that's about 153 people who continue to not only live in that residence, but not be appropriate for that facility. The concern with traffic, again, this council, our law enforcement, they are subjected to state law, in which under AB 2147 gave people the right to, walk through streets, should it be safe. The fact that 30% of the residents don't have the executive functioning skills to be able to make that judgment is of concern. I'd like for the council to further look at the number of fire and sheriff calls for the service facility and the response to residents in the facility. And if they're offering to continue funding for one law enforcement officer, I don't think that is a proper use of funding to expend our resources in a city that already needs to figure out our own support in our streets. She's already stated that's not a good use of her funds. It's not a good use to send it to us to expend our security in our streets. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Anybody else, Deborah?
No more public comment, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and close public comment, bring back to council for their comments. Mr. Allen?
Well, I want to thank the J.C. Wallace facility owners for being here and making presentation tonight. And I also want to thank all the residents who came out. A lot of residents that spoke tonight mentioned that they have experience with mental health or they have family who has experienced mental health issues, or they work in the mental health field somehow or in some fashion. I don't know, I'm hoping that we can get data, to back up or to refute. Because I know that there's no data on Facebook. There's no reliable data on 92313. I read that crap just like you guys, and it spreads a lot of fear and misunderstanding. It's, I think that the reason that so many people here have so much concern is because there's a lack of knowledge that a lot of people, we really don't know what's going on, inside the facility, and there was no real clear, like cookie cutter model of your client, of the clients that are going to be there, because your clients, the clients at the J.C. Wallace House represent all of us. They represent our community, other communities, our society, our culture, our families. And so I think the uncertainty is what instills the fear in people to want, and because so far I haven't heard of anything really serious that's happened.
All right, please, maintain, please. All right, calm down, please, let him speak.
No, I haven't, like I said, the data, we're talking about data from the sheriff's department. We're talking about data from the fire department, data from anything like that. There's observations, a lot of people.
Excuse me, the council listened
Please.
to everybody's comments quietly. Excuse me.
All right, we're going to take if you want to listen, no yelling out in the council chamber. Let Councilmember Allen speak. This is his time. We listen to everybody else. We're trying to take care of this. If you're going to yell out, just go ahead and leave. All right, because we're trying to. All right, Ms. Hawkins, thank you. We know, thank you. So please let him finish speaking, and then we're going to try. That's why we're here tonight, to try to figure this out. All right, it's going to take little steps at a time. All right, go ahead, Councilman Allen.
No, I think I don't have any fear of the J.C. Wallace house, because I've asked the sheriff's department and the city manager for the data, and there's no data to back up the fear that that the social media is trying to instill, okay? There may be incidences that several people have come up to the podium and they have recounted incidents they've witnessed, but many of them said that they really don't know for sure, and we've got some letters here where we can't say for sure where they're from, but we just didn't like what we saw. No, I don't like it either, and I've seen those kind of things, but it's really difficult for me to understand why we want to point the finger without the data to back it up. And another thing that I would like for us to please try to remember is that all of our heads are attached to our bodies by our neck. Okay, this isn't separate from this. This sometimes gets sick, just like this does. And whenever one of the speakers referenced and made a comparison between cancer and mental illness, I think what the speaker was trying to say is, illness is illness. We have a body. It starts up here and it goes to our toes, and it can get sick anywhere in between. And there are specialists and places that we have to go to take care of that. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mayor. I know this is a hot topic. I've been here for 40 some odd years, and I understand that there is concern about things. And I'm concerned too, but we are not unique. Unfortunately, this is the world that we live in. The people that become part of the solution rather than the problem are the ones that make great change. I know I appreciate very much all of you here being at the meeting and to help feed us with information. And we will work together with J.C. Wallace as well as the county and formulate the best solution we can, but this is not a homeowners association. You ask us, what are you going to do? It is a very large question. In my business, we used to call it a regional problem, and it really is. People don't care about people as much as they did. They don't love people. When I see a person sitting in a wheelchair out in the middle of traffic, I don't need somebody to turn around and tell me to go over and see if I can't maybe help them get to the other side. You can call it whatever ethic it is, The bottom line is that it is difficult, and everybody has somebody that's involved in a mental health situation. There's no doubt about it. So I ask for your patience and your understanding, and we will continue to work to solve it, to get it to what we all consider a livable level, and to assuage your fears. And I'm sure J.C. Wallace would much rather have it that way. Everybody in this room would rather have it that way, but it's with the understanding that it's getting to be kind of a tough world out there. And I ask for the Lord's blessings in helping us. That's all I've got to say, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to the audience for attending tonight, and for those that remain here. It's a thorny, gnarly issue, but I do believe that it can be resolved if we all focus on the right issues, the correct issues. The J.C. Wallace project was approved by a conditional use permit by the Planning Commission. That conditional use permit changed from the original operation to reflect the current use. So my suggestion to you and to my colleagues here on the council is to set up a mechanism by which some sort of resolution can be reached. That means give and take from Ms. Domenici, the Executive Director, CEO of the J.C. Wallace House, and you as the community. And if you've been involved at all in conflict resolution, you understand the dynamics associated with that. So I'd like my colleagues to consider remanding this matter back to the Planning Commission with specific instructions to the commission and staff to develop a process by which all of your questions can be answered, all of your comments can be included in the public record, and the Planning Commission can discharge its duty by reviewing the conditions of approval in the conditional use permit that allow the J.C. Wallace project to come to Grand Terrace. Now, I just want to make one point very clear. While the council has the authority under certain circumstances to revoke the CUP, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that the CUP and its conditions of approval be used as a part of the tools associated with what we hope to be a successful conflict resolution exercise. It's not going to take one meeting, it's probably going to take several. But my recommendation, hopefully that will be favorably considered by my colleagues, is to have this matter remanded to the Planning Commission with the city manager and staff developing a structure that will allow for full and complete public participation, full and complete participation by the J.C. Wallace Group, and a proposed solution or solutions that are approved by all affected parties so that we can move forward and understand how any issues with J.C. Wallace can be properly and effectively evaluated going forward. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Councilman Henderson. Are you going to make that a motion on our agenda, future agenda item?
Yes, sir, that's my motion.
Okay, so we'll bring that, that'll be later on in this, our agenda. But, okay, so let's go back. So, you know, I really like the idea of the wearing the bracelets. I don't know what public comment, what we can't, or laws of what we can't wear a bracelet for identification. We go to bracelets on when we, you know, in the hospital, when I was in the Marine Corps, I had dog tags, but I think that's a good thing to have just for help identifying, help. I know we talked about the business cards. That'd be something that maybe you guys could think about or see what happens around this with the law. And like I said, the $90K towards law enforcement, I don't see why that $90K can't be used for security for you guys to use for this, to pick up people who are lost. The basic hygiene, I'm hoping that for security lets these people out that they're dressed properly and they'll do have the basic hygiene. Yes, the children, it is a scary thing out there that's happening. This state has changed, born and raised in this state. Only time I left the state when I was serving in the Marine Corps. We all grew up here. I moved here because my wife lived here all her life because it was safe. It is safe. I have seen the changes. I have seen the changes in the surrounding community. And I have seen also, when we had Cars and Coffee, the residents from J.C. Wallace House go by and they're waving hi and stuff. I watched who were coming out, and they look like they're just having a normal day. Then I seen a guy with a blanket over his head who was coming from somewhere else. So we are getting these people mixed up with anybody. I like what Mr. Flores said. I mean, you could take a picture, ask them, but you also have to remember privacy acts and all that stuff with the law, because the law is on their side. But you could reach out to J.C. Wallace. The 80% success rate, I like what Michelle said. Yes, there's a percent. There's not going to be 100% everywhere. We all have dealt with mental illness in our family. I have a autistic cousin, but he's functioning and he goes to work every day. And they have also where he stays, they have protocols for his security and the public security to make sure everything's all right. The mental substance abuse, it's what we're reason half this homeless population. Our problem is mental and drug abuse. Proposition 47 held the judge's hands so they can't get proper treatment. Why they don't repeal it, I have no idea, but people voted for it, that and SB 109. So that needs to be come in so that way people get the proper treatment for mental and drug abuse. Now, what plans do we have to make sure to protect our residents? What Councilman Henderson said, this is a long process. We got to go through this and see what's right. We also have to protect the business legal rights. We have to protect the citizens' rights here too. Now, things have changed. We had 2 murders in this city from Cowles Gate. I didn't get anybody up here saying they wanted to close Cowles Gate. Unfortunately, there's predators out there from every walk of life, not just one area, from every walk of life. And we have to be, as they say in my son's football thing, our head on a swivel. We have to be aware of our surroundings. We've got to know what's going on. If you see something uncomfortable, walk away. Call the sheriff. Don't post on 92313, I saw this. Call our sheriffs. If you can't call the sheriffs, my number is on there. It's out there. You call my cell phone. I'll call the sheriffs. All right? So we have to maintain vigilance. We have to be proactive. But we also have to be, hey, what's this going on? Because we have changed up here. We have that homeless encampment on Colton side. I talked to the mayor. Hopefully they could get it removed. That's over the bridge. That bridge is supposed to be removed. But when you move them from one, they're going to move to somewhere else. Until this state figures out what the problem is, instead of throwing money at everything and start mandatorying this thing for substance abuse, mental awareness, and everything, I think we're going to continue to have an issue. And we're just one little small city, like the lady said, 3.5 square miles, 13,500 people, 7,800 registered voters, only 3,600 vote. You guys need to go out there and vote. So panhandling is against the law. Panhandling if they're being aggressive. If you come up to my car and tap on the window, you're in my personal space. That's aggressiveness. You can call the sheriffs on that. We're putting an agenda for a fact to get agenda item to have panhandling signs everywhere, but all you have to do is say no. The minute you give them $1, they'll keep staying here. Now, I know we have compassion for somebody. Buy them a sandwich. You know, we have places, the mission down here in San Bernardino that gives clothes out, the Salvation Army. There are resources that the state pays a lot of money for this problem. Nobody's taking it because why? They don't want to be held accountable. So I think, you know, we need to work with J.C. Wallace. I know we talked before, and there was, you know, talk about how they're going to be residents and, you know, and how they're going to be community members, but J.C. Wallace also has to hold up their end of the bargain to make sure that the city is safe and make sure that the residents are safe and make sure the residents are getting the proper treatment, not just making $1, and I'm not saying you're just making $1, but make sure, please, that the residents are getting proper treatment and are not just going out here in the community to do their same habits they did before they got in this facility. And I think you guys need to have a community outreach. And Mr. Dominici, you were there before because you know how much the community was involved with that residential care. I think you need to establish the same type of outreach to let people know and let people get involved. And I'm sure you'll even get volunteers for that because Like Mr. Flores said, we're all God's children, and we are. But we also have to be cognizant and protect our children and protect our way of life here. And we also have to be respectful for other people who are going through dark times. Because people who are going through dark times is somebody's kid, and they're asking for help. It could be somebody's husband or wife, and they're asking for help. I just had to go to a funeral for a 30-year-old that was my son's friend because of substance abuse. I remember that little boy just wanting cereal all the time. So there's people crying out for help that don't know where to get the help. The state needs to change that it's mandatory for parents to seek help for their loved ones, but I don't know. Because, when you talk to a homeless person, they can't how to decide to tie their shoe, and they need help. But they also don't need a burden on society. Your facility is there to give them the help, not grocery outlet, not 3Bs, not anybody else. And when they're urinating in public, they're exposing themselves, and that could be a sexual crime, and they need to be arrested, plain and simple, because they're not going to get the help. They need some different type of help. So later on, we'll bring up Councilmember Henderson's agenda item, and I'll second it when we come to there, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did want to follow up on Councilmember Henderson's suggestion. There is a provision in the municipal code, it's section 18.83.032, governing revisions and modifications to conditional use permits. And I'll read the specific provision because I think the language is helpful. It provides review by Planning Commission. The Planning Commission may periodically review any conditional use permit to ensure that it is being operated in a manner consistent with the conditions of approval, or in a manner which is not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to properties in the vicinity. If, after review, the Commission deems that there is sufficient evidence to warrant a full examination, then a public hearing date shall be set. At such public hearing, the Planning Commission may modify or revoke the permit pursuant to another section 18.83.080. So that provision, I think, speaks to exactly what Commissioner Henderson was suggesting. So I would suggest if the commission or if the council was inclined to effectively direct staff to initiate this process with the Planning Commission.
Do you want us to direct staff during our future agenda item or direct staff right now?
I would recommend it as a future agenda item since it's
okay. So that'll be coming up.
This is listed as a presentation tonight.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Go ahead.
I just want to make clear to the council, to the community, on our agenda tonight, there is an item that says suggested items for future agenda. It's a process, it's a protocol that the council has to follow when the matter is not properly before it, as this matter is in terms of taking effective action. So later on this evening, I'll be making a motion to place this matter on a future agenda, and the motion going forward would be to remand the matter to the Planning Commission. And as you heard from the mayor, he'll second my motion. So I need you to stay involved. Some people have left already. They've had their say. That's okay, but it'd be good if they stuck around, because that's the way we get to a positive resolution. We have an experienced Planning Commission. The chair of the Planning Commission is a long-term resident, retired California Highway Patrol officer, so he's got the law enforcement background as well, and will be, I think, extremely valuable to the council and the community as we move forward on this project. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So I'm sure your office will be here to, when we're going to have a recess, but they might be asking questions to you. But I just want to remind the residents, be respectful, all right? There are people out there that need help. And, hats off to the county health for helping, taking care of these people, the residents, and then everybody else who needs help. My daughter-in-law is going for a residency for child psychiatry for little kids. And can you imagine hearing the little kids' stories? She actually the psychiatrists have to talk to each other because of that. So be compassionate, but be aware. Be vocal, but be respectful. This is the first step. There's probably many. But, you know, I think if we could have a good rapport, if we work together, and we take care of some house cleaning chores, and as long as everybody's safe, and that's our biggest thing, safety in this community. Right? And if you want to talk about safety, you could talk to Johan Gallo. He's got something going on. I can't talk about it, but there's something in the works. So we're going to go ahead and recess for 10 minutes. We'll be back here at 8:50 or 7:50. Recess for 10. I got staff that's been burning midnight oil, and I want to get them home. Please take your seat or go out in the lobby and get your coffee and cookies if you have questions. But please, because we have a really good report coming up from the Women's Club that's been sitting there patiently waiting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reconvene at 7:53 for agendas. Our next item is going to be presentation still, right, on the Grand Terrace Women's Club Annual Report.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and staff, I am Adele Lara. I am the president of the Grand Terrace Women's Club, and we have come here to present our service records for the 2023 calendar year. You should each have a packet. The Grand Terrace Women's Club is part of an international organization called the General Federation of Women's Clubs, and we're dedicated to improving our local communities through volunteer service. And at the end of the calendar year, each club submits annual narrative reports of what we've done. And this is all sent to the international organization, and they tally all these reports. In 2022, the total volunteer hours were 5,849,739 hours. And the first page is the statistical form, and you can look at that on your own time. I'm going to talk to you about some of my favorites of what we do. My favorite is the Christmas Help Project, and it's under Advocates for Children, and it talks about what we've done. And this year we have a raffle. We raffle off tickets for specific prizes, and we go to our local vendors asking them to donate gift cards or any kind of a wreath. We have businesses donate a wreath and a tree, and then we also have 2 tattoo parlors that come in. They hold a toy drive called Toys for Tats. If you bring in a toy worth so much dollars, you get a tattoo. It's not a big one, but it's nice, and it, generates a lot of toys that way. And this year, we had a goal to provide 4 families with a $500 gift card to Stater Brothers and a $300 to Target or Walmart. And we met that goal. So each family got that, and then they also got toys from the tattoo parlor. We got so many toys that we were able to forward them to the Salvation Army, to the Heart Matters foster care agency here in Grand Terrace, and we also donated to the Valley of Enchantment Outreach. Another one that I like is our Easter baskets. Before Easter, each member brings an Easter supply, a basket, the Easter, not lettuce, grass for the baskets, and we donate all these things, and we forward them to the foster care agency, Heart Matters, and they then take all those supplies, and they let the mothers makes baskets for the children there. So that's another project that I like. It's fun. And another one that we do is we have a baby shower. And each member brings in a baby shower gift, just like we would on a regular baby shower. We play baby shower games, and we donate that to the Pregnancy Resource Center in San Bernardino. And that's under health and wellness, and you can look up the report on that. Animal rescue, we have a member who is very active in animal rescue, and we also participated on that. We donated 43 hours volunteer time and donated $200 in kind. We also had, we donated $200, and that went to the Donkey Land. We were trying to get the Donkey Land people to come speak to us, but she was just so overwhelmed. She's so busy, she wasn't able to. So what we did is we had pin the tail on the donkey game, and we all dressed up in Western wear.
Not live donkeys, right?
We all dressed up in Western wear, and we had a great time, and we were able to, we help our community. One of the last things that we do is we donate 2 subscriptions to Kind News. Are you familiar with that? Yeah. It's a newsletter that goes to the second graders in our 2 elementary schools, and it teaches the children to be kind to animals. We all know that animal cruelty is one of the, it's a bad guy. So anyway, it teaches them to be kind to animals and in turn kind to human beings. And any questions?
Does council have any questions, comments? Councilman Henderson?
I'd just like to thank you personally and the Women's Club for all the wonderful things that you do for our community.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun. We help, but we also have a grand old time. I know maybe Ms. Conrad has heard us because sometimes we get a little excited in our meetings, and I don't know. And I've always, when we have singers or wherever come to, I always invite them, the city workers, to come and listen. But I guess they listen even without joining us because sometimes we can get anyway, we have fun.
Well, I want to thank you and your members. One of your members, Liz, I see almost daily on my daily walks. And
yes.
She keeps me informed on your activities, and so it's very much appreciated.
Yes, everybody knows Liz, not necessarily by her name, but because of her corgis. So thank you very much.
Councilmember Allen?
I would like to ask you a question.
Oh, we're not done with you yet.
Yeah. You think this is over, huh?
Sorry.
I just want to ask you, can you tell me how old is the Women's Club?
We were formed in 1908.
Okay.
It was the ladies met in a private home, and they, of course, one of the little tidbits just goes up my head, but they decided to, I think the dues were what, Debbie, 25 cents? 25 cents. And they decided to meet and have tea, and anyway, we became federated, which means we joined the International Women's Clubs in 1925. So we're not just us, it's the it's the San Bernardino District, then the California, then the Generation International. So.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I want to thank you, too. You can sit down and I can talk to you. That's fine.
No.
I mean, you guys going to do line dancing? I think that's what you're doing. But, I hear you guys having a good time down there. And so, I know you like our little room now. It's all fixed up for you. Conrad did a good job and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had a bigger place for you and stuff. So maybe one of these days we will. But, thank you. And I know all the kids really look forward to those sugar cookies and stuff.
Yes.
And the parents
Light of
don't,
Grand
but the
Terrace.
kids
That's
do.
another thing we do.
Yeah, and it's a great thing that you're doing, and giving toys out, like telling Mr. Gall here, I was one of those kids who got one of those toys and stuff. So it's a great thing you guys are doing. If you ever, you know, we have a community benefit fund, so if you're running short on that, you know, the city would like to help you out too on that thing, so.
Well, thank you.
But, you
Well,
know,
we
got-
appreciate having the room. It's always clean. Parking's great. Anyway, we're appreciative. Thank you.
I know, I had to park down the street, I know when you guys are here, so.
And you have a new microwave courtesy of the Women's Club that was actually donated by Bobby in our name. So yay to Bobby for that. But you have a microwave
Oh, well, thank you very much, Bobby, and then.
as of Friday.
Okay, well, you guys are moving up.
Yeah.
That's better than the slow cooker, right, crock pot, but anyway, thank you for everything you do for our city, and, you know, what a blessing. So one question, 1908, so is that house still standing?
I don't believe so, no. We don't have any home here in Grand Terrace that's
Yeah.
that old.
So, okay, well, thank you very much, and I'm sorry you had to wait for so long. We should have put you first tonight, but, you know, thank you for coming out and sharing the good news that you do for our city and stuff.
Thank you,
right.
thank you,
God bless.
thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go with, we'll go ahead and close our special presentation and go with the consent calendar. The following consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They'll be acted upon the city council at any time without discussion. Any council member, staff member, or citizen may request removal of any item consent calendar. Am I losing all my staff?
Mr. Mayor, we actually lost the quorum.
Yeah, we
for a
lost the
few
quorum,
minutes.
so. Everybody, when they come back in, clap. So we'll wait. Apparently, they didn't go out during the recess or, you know, stretch their legs. Do we have that Jeopardy music? Yeah. Do-do-do-do. Yeah. Well, this is a first, isn't it? I hope they're not talking in the hallway. Oh, there's one. So we have a quorum now? Oh, there's it. Okay, now we get back to we have a quorum. All right. So consent calendar. The following consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon the city council at any time without discussion. Any council member, staff member, or citizen may request removal of any item in the consent calendar for discussion. So is there any public on the public comment? Yes. You made me read all that before you raised your hand?
No, there is no public comment,
Okay.
but staff needs to pull item number 4 and remove it from the agenda altogether.
Continue it to March 12th, please.
So item 4, remove, along with item 8 from earlier, right?
Item 8's removed, but item 4, we need to continue.
No, it's not a public hearing notice, so we will just put it back on the next agenda.
Okay. So do I have a motion for 1 through 3 and 5 through 7?
So moved.
A motion by Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Second by Councilman Allen. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
So item 4, we're removing for later? That's what we're doing?
Yes, we'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay. So public hearing, none. Unfinished business, none. New business, item 8, we're not doing, right? Item 9, consideration of resolution of City Council of the City of Grand Terrace approving a form of reimbursement new indication agreement, the use of relation to a development project within the city authorized execution thereof by the city manager, subject to the city attorney approval as a form. So, city attorney? Oh, man, you went fast.
I try.
Sir, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, I am again presenting the proposed resolution whereby the City Council would authorize the city manager to administratively approve reimbursement agreements with developers of private property. I gave a more detailed presentation last time. Today I'll just kind of go over some highlights. So what is being proposed? We're proposing a template reimbursement agreement, which would be used in private development situations when an application comes in. Usually, we would have this signed at the very start of the project. In many cases, cities don't sign these agreements or don't push these agreements until there's an issue, such as a CEQA analysis that goes a little beyond what was anticipated, or litigation. Usually those are the two key initiators of when this agreement would be really important. So what we're proposing is a policy whereby when a project comes in, the city manager and staff would work with the developer to review the agreement, negotiate it, and have the city manager execute it. The thought was to streamline the process versus bringing it to the city council, which would extend the time before it would be executed. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Cities do it differently. I had one situation where we had a developer in another city that wanted to go, and was frustrated that we had to take it to the city council when it was pretty generic. So it dawned on me, well, maybe we should have a policy that allows staff to administratively review it and approve it. So what would this cover and what would it not cover? This would not cover fees. So fees are governed by our fee schedule. So that covers administrative staff time to review the application, process the application. That's already set in the fee schedule. What this would cover are really consultant time, where consultant time would be utilized on the project. So in my other city, Irwindale, we get a lot of large-scale projects. So we are involved in reviewing the specific plan, the details, looking at the legal aspects of it, looking at the legal aspects of CEQA. It would also include CEQA consultant time, engineering time in doing surveys and things of that sort. So this agreement would ensure that the city is reimbursed for all those consultant costs in furtherance of a private project. So again, the thought is to streamline it. It would be used basically across the board. It's not targeted toward any single project. It's not even, there's no concept in mind as to what project this would be targeted for at this point. It's just generally something we would apply as a general blanket so that we have it there. And there's no later dispute as to, hey, the city incurred $7,000 in consultant fees, pay up. It's addressed right out of the gate. So basically, that's the issue before you tonight. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. This is just a suggestion from the city manager and myself to kind of streamline the process and authorize a procedure. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? No? Any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, no questions, no public comment. Bring it back for deliberation. Anybody have deliberation? I'd like to make a motion. Councilman Henderson.
First of all, I'd like to thank the council for approving my recommendation to continue to tonight's meeting. I had mentioned then that I had a number of questions, all of which you have received, about a dozen questions and/or comments on the proposed agreement. And I want to indicate for the record that the responses that I received from the city manager were excellent in general and took care of all of the concerns that I had about this proposed agreement. And I want to thank the city manager and the city attorney personally as part of that process, and I'm ready to make a motion for approval.
I have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Sorry, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, future agenda items. I think, Mr. Henderson, you had one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My motion is that the City Council instruct the Planning Commission of the City of Grand Terrace to conduct a preliminary assessment of the conditional use permit issued to J.C. Wallace, that the Planning Commission take appropriate public input with a view toward resolving the issues that will be put before the Planning Commission at the appropriate time, and that the Planning Commission be prepared to recommend to the City Council at a certain time and place the proposed resolution for dealing with J.C. Wallace.
And I said I'll second that. Does anybody else have any questions on that? Okay, we have a motion and a second. City Attorney, we have anything to add?
I do. So I would just suggest that, Mr. Henderson, if you're agreeable to just authorizing the Planning Commission, or we'll bring back a future agenda item to discuss it, but that item would be to direct the commission to invoke the 18.83.032 review process. And I say it like that because under our code, the Planning Commission has final approval on conditional use permits subject to appeal to the City Council. So it wouldn't be a recommendation to the City Council. They would make a decision, and if J.C. Wallace or a member of the public were unhappy with whatever action is taken by the commission, that can be appealed to the council. And I will also advise the council, just as a reminder, when we do bring this back as a future agenda item, presumably at the next meeting, that the council stay as objective as possible because of that appeal process. And so I'm saying more for the public as well, that I'm going to advise the council again at the next meeting not to take a position on anything. I think the key here is that there is a process that has to be fair to J.C. Wallace as to the public, and so that council can't have made a premature decision. So I think the key is, that's why I'm saying just refer back to conduct this process. The commission will do whatever fact-finding it deems fit, make whatever decisions it deems fit, and then again, it can be appealed to the City Council.
So my request, Mr. Mayor, is to have the city attorney restate my motion for the record.
Okay, and I'll second his reinstated. You have something to say, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Wouldn't we classify this, at least categorically, that this is a CUP review?
Exactly. I think that's exactly it.
So then we would follow the ordinances and the state requirements in relation to a CUP review, and that's pretty much a slam dunk.
Exactly. Yes. So I think that the appropriate motion would be to direct staff to bring back a future agenda item for the next meeting to discuss a potential conditional use permit review of J.C. Wallace House in accordance with 18.83.032.
That's my motion.
Thank you.
And that's my second again. So anyway, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not done yet. Go ahead. Go ahead, Councilman Allen. You have agenda request? Yeah. Are you done with your agenda request? Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. So I would like to address, we had I don't know what you want to call it, street or a parking lot takeover, street takeover last weekend. And I think that we should have a discussion about possibly modeling an ordinance or a law or something on what the Los Angeles City Council recently did to try to get a control of the street takeovers, you know, and you know, they even passed an ordinance in LA. Well, they'll take the car and keep it, you know, they'll confiscate all the cars if they can and all that. So and we've done that before with our littering ordinance, you know. So also have a discussion about that, and also have a discussion about possibly using some of these traffic control devices. I think some of them are called bot dots, and some are called, and then there's like raised crosswalks to sort of prevent a intersection being taken over, because then supposedly they're not able to do their antics with those kind of those attachments onto the pavement. So just a discussion on this, everything, sort of get ahead of this, so it doesn't, you know.
No, City Attorney, you have anything to say if we want to look at possible ordinance?
I'm happy to do that with the direction of the council.
Okay. Okay, so that's your motion?
Yeah, how should I word that? A motion to...
It would be a motion to direct staff to bring back as a future agenda item consideration of a possible ordinance governing or regulating street takeovers. I think we know what you mean, but if you want to rephrase it, that's fine.
I was just, you know, I saw LA did something about it. I thought we could do that too. You know? Sure. So, okay, that would be my motion, what he just said.
Street takeovers, the fines and the penalties and
right,
impounding vehicles.
And also traffic control devices on the pavement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilor Henderson second, so can I have a vote, please?
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, any other future agenda items? No? Okay, we'll go ahead and close that. City Council communication, Councilman Henderson.
Nothing to report, sir.
Okay, Councilman Allen.
I don't have anything to report, but I'm looking forward to everybody being at the Blue Mountain Hike on March 3.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Really appreciate the opportunity to gather together with the Grocery Outlet for their 4-year anniversary. They've been a asset to the community. They've been a badly needed anchor in the little center that we have in that neck of the woods. And ever since, of course, Stater Brothers moved to its current location, although that was a very positive thing, it could have left us in a bit of a hole there in that very important corner. So I thought that was great, and I think it's satisfactory, definitely, to see how the Chamber of Commerce has been working with our businesses to increase visibility and to allow the City Council to participate in different items in relation to the businesses in our community, because they are so important to us. I would like to offer up an idea and not necessarily ask for an agenda item. And that is, we are going to be coming to a crossroads in relation to our agreement with the sheriffs, or the contract agreement. And I would say that it might be now is the time for us to further delineate our agreement with them, so that there is no question about our responsibilities as well as the sheriff's responsibilities as we enter the possibility that we may have an additional funding mechanism that will allow us possibly to bring on some extra help from the Sheriff's Department. I think it's a perfect time for us to clarify things between us and make us a better machine. Anyway, I love to think that the City Council might kind of commiserate over that idea and see how we can help each other. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and I concur that it's a great, them being, Grocery Outlet being recognized by the Chamber for Business of the Month. Plus, like I said, it was a blessing that they opened 1 month before the pandemic. I mean, where else can you buy 50 pounds of rice? I didn't need 50 pounds of rice, but I bought it anyway, but then I gave it all away. But it was a blessing. There was some weird times back then, but, that God put that place there for a reason, and we were very grateful for it. And like the Mayor Pro Tem, it brought back life to that shopping center, and there's other business in there too. So it's nice not to see empty buildings. I know we got one more left, but it's really nice to see it. And like going back to saying how Grand Terrace has changed. Yeah, it's changed, but everything's changed. I mean, I grew up in Fontana. The population is 20,000. I remember when they built the Motel 6 and the McDonald's there and stuff. And you go to the drive-in theater and don't go on the Santa Ana windstorm because the double needs to be going across the movie screen and stuff. So, but it's changed, and this council's job is to do the positive change, or try to direct that way, so that way future generations can, thrive and feel safe, and also, have support for our fire department and our sheriffs, and, so they can enjoy the same things that we did raising our families here. So you'll see change, and I know people ask, well, how many more pizza places you want, or nail places, or coffee places? You're like, hey, you know what? Everybody has their different choice of pizza. I'm Italian, there's different brands of, sauce in there, so I'll tell you which one to go to, but that's have to be off the record. But anyway, and then again, thank you for everybody coming out tonight and speaking. I know some of you, it's your first time. It could be a little nervous. Some don't know what to do. We can't question and answer. It's not a debate thing. The council takes every person who speaks seriously. We write down stuff, we follow through. So it doesn't go on deaf ears. We're here for you guys. You guys are, the ones who vote us in to do the job, to protect you and keep you safe and do what's right for the city. And like our city attorney said, there's a process, and we have to be impartial. And we also have to make sure everything's doing the right thing to, make the city grow and to make sure businesses grow. So just bear with the city. Trying to get caught up on social media. I know it's hard. Come here to the city council, listen to the facts. Read the newspaper that we have, the Grand Terrace City News, and just listen to the facts. And if you have issues, please call the sheriff, all right? Please don't put yourself in harm's way. Let the professionals do it, okay? So that's all I have. City Manager, you have any communication?
Councilmember Allen stole my thunder on the Blue Mountain hike, but please show up and enjoy it. It really is a beautiful walk, and it's worth the climb once you're on top. Secondly, and to echo the business sentiment, I really want to thank the residents, the businesses, and the Chamber of Commerce. Our sales tax revenue has held consistent for the last year. Every other city in the county is losing sales tax revenue year over year for the last year or so. And some of them are 15 and 18% down. And our residents, by shopping in town, our businesses by providing great services, our chamber by coordinating and helping the businesses, we've been successful, and we've done a really good job as a community. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lieutenant Lane, you have anything to say? I know you do, but, can you kind of let the residents know about the street takeover?
Yeah, Johan. Yeah, so obviously that was a surprise to us, and I think, when we started getting the calls on that, we responded, as we normally do with just about everything we had. So we contacted a bunch of those people. I think we towed a car, arrested somebody out of that, and we got them to move on. That was the first like that, I think, in my over 4 years here now. So that's not something that happens all the time, but there are ordinances out there that deal specifically with that, and LA was kind of leading the charge on that. All of those offenses are on the books right now. We enforce them regularly. It's, reckless driving and speeding and endangerment and all that kind of stuff. And we take cars to jail just about as much as we take people to jail. We can continue to attack those things in that manner. An ordinance might give us a broader ability to deal with those that also show up in support of, and I think that's where LA was going with theirs, to kind of keep 10,000 people from showing up at an intersection. So
we want them to shop here, though.
I'm sorry?
We want them to shop here, though.
If you can make them buy at least one thing in the store, that might be worthwhile. But yeah, certainly, we're open to any of that, but we're going to continue to enforce what we already have on the books as well.
All right, thank you for that update. I know people are concerned and stuff, and I'm glad nobody got hurt. And City Manager, the Girl Scouts going to be on top of the Blue Mountain selling cookies? Because we might get hungry up there.
They're not on the top, although the Boy Scouts are there, the girls from the cheer are there, and they've always been very involved, but you have to bring your own cookies.
Okay. But yes, it's a great event, the Blue Mountain Hike, and we have volunteers there, and they have, the fire department's even there. And it's just a great community event. And when you get up to the top of the mountain, it's a beautiful view. And everything's all green. I wish it stayed green all year round, and then the flowers. But if you need a ride up there, I think the Women's Club would get some of those donkeys that they pin the tail on. They give them a ride up there. I don't know. They might go for one of those cookies too. But thank you again. So closed session none. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn. The next regular city council meeting will be held Tuesday, March 12, 2024 at 6 p.m. Any request or item to place on the future agenda must be made in writing and submitted to the city clerk's office. And once again, thank you for coming out, and God bless.